The motto of the United States Coast Guard is Semper Paratus, always ready. But no one was ready for the terrorist attacks on 9/11. The New York City harbor looks normal today, but the empty spot in the Manhattan skyline echoes with the horror from that terrible day. On board the Coast Guard cutter Bainbridge Island, I had the chance to speak with Vice Admiral Thad Allen. On 9/11, he was the commander in charge of the entire Atlantic area. He took me to the waters in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty, where the memories of the attack still hang in the air.
Just give me a feeling of the emotions of something like that happening.
Well, the emotions are extraordinary and they're overwhelming. We're in an organization that responds to emergencies every day. We kicked into that mode, and I think we did what the country expected us to do.
In the hours following the attack, the devastation in Lower Manhattan cut off tens of thousands of frightened New Yorkers. On a normal weekday, 63,000 passengers would ride the Staten Island ferries. Nothing was normal this day.
What happened in the hours after 9/11 occurred?
There was an extraordinary amount of activity in the harbor. In the 18 to 24 hours following 9/11, the Coast Guard, working with the private sector operators in the harbor, our own boats and everybody else, coordinated the evacuation of close to 1 million people off Lower Manhattan, probably the largest evacuation since Dunkirk.
Now, a lot of them went off in water taxis that go back and forth across these waters.
Water taxis, the Staten Island ferries, tugboat operators. It was a lot of teamwork, and we were a coordinating factor. We didn't provide all the boats ourselves. We were kind of like the coach.
The Coast Guard went on high alert and repositioned ships throughout the fleet.
I was on my ship headed south for a counter-narcotics patrol down off in the Eastern Pacific. And we left on September 10th. September 11th, we turned around and headed north and sat off the United States, which for the first time in my Coast Guard career, I actually was able to say that I was guarding the coast.
And in the days after that, what did you do to try to just safeguard these waters? I mean, nobody really knew what was going to happen next.
Well, within 12 hours, we had actually 12 cutters in and around New York, and a couple of them were actually anchored in the harbor with their guns uncovered, because we just didn't know what the situation was and what might happen next.
That continuing threat of terrorist attacks has put the Coast Guard on the front line of Homeland Security.
Are there a lot of eyes out here and guns out here that are pointed that probably the public isn't even aware of now, making sure that we're safe?
Well, we always operate with armed boarding teams off of all of our small boats and cutters, so when you see the Coast Guard, you can assume that we're armed and ready to operate.
Sound off. 1, 2.
In direct response to 9/11, the Coast Guard formed the Maritime Safety and Security Team, known better as MSST. The first of 6 teams was deployed here in Seattle.
It's really kind of put another burden on us. We're a jack of all trades, and now we have another job that we need to do.
Some describe them as the Coast Guard's own SWAT team, but that makes members of the MSST cringe. For while they have special training, they do all the jobs assigned to any other coastie.
Some people in the Coast Guard give me some grief for calling them SWAT teams, but that's how you explain them. These are the first new complete units to come online as a result of 9/11.
Each team consists of 100 members and up to 6 specially constructed boats.
We have these teams of boats augmenting our normal forces. If we get a threat, they're a SWAT team, law enforcement powers, everything else. But if I get a threat someplace else in the country, I can stick them on one of these airplanes behind me and move them to a crisis point.
Drop the boat. Get her, come down. Come to land.
To prepare to deal with any threat, the MSST went through weeks of training at the Camp Lejeune Marine Base in North Carolina.
Approaching your beam. He's coming up. He's faster than you are. He's right, almost beam right now. Beam right now. Hold on.
Team members learned the specialized anti-terrorist skills they would need for their additional Homeland Security mission. Fully armed with sidearms as well as machine guns, the teams practiced techniques for harbor security and drilled in every aspect of how to search a ship.
Go away, Coast Guard! Go away! Freeze! Let me see your head!
Camp Lejeune was 1 month of intense training, both physically and mentally. We were up early in the morning, we went to bed late at night, but the training that we received there prepared us very well to do this job here.
In a nighttime scenario, an opposing force firing blanks attacked a vessel. This final exam confronted them with one of the thousands of threats MSST must be prepared to deal with.